I'm your host, Link the Boss.
And I'm your host, Blam the General.
Yeah, baby, what time is it?
It's time for 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast.
I said, what time is it?
It's time for 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast.
You the below, right? Underground where we are, right? If you keep it the buck and I keep it the buck, then we all gonna be alright. Cause we want the ball, right? The money, the bitches and all, right? The figures, the digits, the exquisite visits to all of the different shows, right?
I was still want more. Private jets to Caribbean shores. Girls in bikini, champagne grapes on my feed me. Smoking that lettuce for sure. Brr. Penthouse on the beach, champagne spilling hot tub where we reach.
You're in tune to the 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast with your host, Link the Boss, Blam the General.
It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. Yeah. My enemies nigga, we gon' make it. They don't give it, we gon' take it. We stacking this money, no time to fake it. We working so hard to be the greatest. It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. Yeah. I'm always at my best when I'm under pressure. Take advantage of investments, money molester. It can easily get tragic, too drastic to measure. So ask me if I let you have it, nothing less.
Okay, so I guess 2012 was the year that I could say was really the ending of a life of trial and error. I found myself back in Indiana, and I still was half in the game, halfway out. And I knew I had warrants, but like any hustler, man, you get tired of ripping and running up and down the highways, broken families, broken life. Just you trying to, you're aged a little bit. You're trying to find a more secure way of living. So I think I basically said to myself, "Fuck it, I'm ready to deal with whatever consequence I got to deal with." And I ended up getting a house in Indiana, and I put all the utilities in my name. And I knew that was a no-no, and it was just a matter of time before they was gonna catch up with me. So one night I'm sitting at the house and I had cameras. I could see the whole perimeter of my house from my office study. And I'm sitting there one night, I couldn't sleep. I got up and I went to the bathroom and I looked at the cameras and I said, damn, I'm tripping. But I came back about 2 hours later, it's about 5 in the morning, January 10th, 2012. And when I looked at the camera, the monitors, it looked like I was in a Black Ops game. It was a task force surrounded the house. And at the time, I had a pistol in the house or whatnot. They didn't find any drugs, but they kicked the doors in. And when they kicked the doors in, instead of being panicked or anything like that, I think I was more so relieved because I knew now I could deal with all of my past issues. I could clear it up. I knew I wasn't facing a life bit, so I had made a firm decision when they put the handcuffs on me that at that point in time, my life was gonna make a transition. It didn't matter if they gave me 5, 15 years. I had made a conscious decision to go and spend every waking hour studying myself and life so I could be a progressive person upon coming out. So I sat in the county for maybe 6 months. I ain't play no games with them. The first plea bargain, they gave me 2 plea bargains in one day. Either you gonna take just 10 years, do 5, or you can take an open plea and we can let the judge decide how much time you're gonna get. I didn't want to give that kind of power to no judge, nobody else, although they already had the power. I said, you know what? To have a peace of mind, I'm gonna take this 10, do 5, and I'm gonna strategize on how to create a program for myself. As I said, unfortunately, the prison system has been a male rites of passage for us in this decade, in this generation. So I ended up going to prison, and when I got there, I made it a firm habit. I made a conscious decision not to fuck with anybody on any level. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to talk about the past. Like I said, and I had a lot of people knew me throughout all the institutions of Indiana because I had been to damn near every one of them. And you know, guys keep the streets talk. You know, guys in prison know more about what's going on in the street than niggas that's in the streets. So when I got there, it was a warm reception, but guys could actually see that his whole mind frame has changed. The guys who didn't really know me but knew of me, they had to step back and look and say, damn, who is this cat for real? Because he not practicing prison culture. He not here bit. So I ended up getting into a few programs, and each program would allow you to cut 6 months off your time. And I have to say, man, I really applied myself to them programs. I really applied myself to the books and the information I was reading, and I was able to devise a divine order of life for myself, something that I knew was the truth that I could stand on every day. So long story short, I went 4 years in one of the worst institutions in Indiana, Westville Correctional Facility. But in those 4 years, I never had one argument. I was never disrespected, not one time. Each morning, I was greeted as Mr. Jefferson by staff, by racist groups, by political groups, religious groups. I don't care if you was a Blood, a Crip, disciple, vice lord, dirty white boy, or Aryan Brotherhood. I had found a universal truth within myself that made everybody respect me for who I was. And I ended up getting a year knocked off my sentence because I completed these courses at the top level. And I ended up coming home, and when I came home, it was the same hustle with a different product. I came home, man, and it was like I never left the streets, because another thing, I have always been fortunate enough, the Creator has always found it fit for me to have a beautiful woman in my life, no matter what I was going through. And that beauty don't always represent physical features, just a woman with a beautiful heart, a woman who had faith and belief in me and who would assist me in whatever I was doing. And this time I was working for a righteous cause, so it's like the universe opened up for me and started giving me all the things that I had been trying to hustle for all my life anyway. So I came out the institution 2017, and I had to return back to Indiana, the place where all of my real trials and tribulations began. I didn't have a choice. I had escaped out of Colorado at one point in time, so I got that case cleared up. They ran it with Indiana, but they gave me an option. You're not going back to Michigan. You're going to stay here in Indiana, or you're going to Colorado. I chose Indiana because that's where I had family and friends. But I also had true enemies. But at the same time, when you really get yourself together, man, when you don't have an enemy within yourself, there's no enemy without. So I started working on different productions. I started a few family businesses with my sons. I started shooting a movie, and in the process of that, one of my sons was murdered. And that took me, cut that shit for me.
That boss life, it's that boss life. That boss life, we live that boss life. My enemies looking, we gon' make it. They don't give it, we gon' take it. We stacking this money, no time to fake it. We working so hard to be the greatest. It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. I'm always at my best when I'm under pressure. Take advantage of investments, money molester. It can easily get tragic, too drastic to measure. So ask me if I let you have it, nothing less. That's what I'm saying, can't even put
So I found myself, like I say, home from prison with a firm decision to never return. I came to the conclusion I was going to do a life bit here on the streets. And when you've done an extensive amount of time inside of an institution, you easily come to see that the world we live in today is nothing more than a controlled environment. And when you learn how to operate in a controlled environment, you know how to move. So I find myself out here now with the greatest possibilities. I've restored myself in so many ways. I have some great ventures going on. I've been able to stack some legal currency. You know, it feels good to be able to go in your wallet and pull out 4 or 5 credit cards, black cards, and you know it's all legitimate. And like I say, the future is for the taking, and I'm here to take it. And for any guy who has came through the same path I've had to go through, just have hope and faith in yourself, man, that you can make a transition to guide your life into a more rewarding experience. With that being said, man, like I said, I just want to give a shout out to BossLife for taking the time to come to the city and talk to a player for real. And if there's anything I can do to assist in future projects, man, I'm open for it.
that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. My enemies looking, we gon' make it. They don't give it, we gon' take it. We stacking this money, no time to fake it. We working so hard to be the greatest. It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. I'm always at my best when I'm under pressure. Take advantage of investments, money molester. It can easily get tragic, too drastic to measure. So ask me if I let you have it, nothing less. That's what I'm saying, can't even put you on game, cause niggas playing
Young black males in the community. The only thing that we didn't have growing up, that all other cultures had in all other countries, is that male rights of passage between the ages of 13 and 17. We didn't have that. The streets was ours. You know what I'm saying? So I already got the financial backers and everything to get the program going. And that's really what I would love to have y'all do that, because what it is, we about to purchase like a 7-bedroom home. Hey, what's going on, big dog? You good? Yeah, for sure. I'm like, yeah. So, like I said, purchase a 7-bedroom home out in the suburban areas, taking 10 males from the inner city, putting them in the setting, and you doing an orientation with them. You extracting what their dreams and goals are, and you setting a foundation for them to accomplish it. Not only that, they working the whole time, whether it's working here at the bar, at one of the other businesses, and then once they complete the program, in a year's time, they had already got their credit score up. They're buying houses, like I say, right around here. The houses that they're gonna be fixing on, they'll be able to move into on a land contract. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it is nonprofit. No. Fuck nonprofit. No, I don't want that because you control all that. You'll be able to own the name, but you'll never be able to own the business itself. And then you got to
What you do is you create a for-profit, and you create a
foundation, nonprofit.
Yeah,
Exactly. But see, like I say, man, it's 50 guys like up for this motherfucker tonight. That's $500,000 a bet. And my age or better is where it comes because this is where it came from. So they willing to invest in the real estate because they just private investors. So all the houses we buying, taking these guys off the street, putting them in them. We build up a community on a whole different principle.